So for our writing today, we are continuing with our fairy tale adaptations, and I want you to really focus in on the types of changes that you want to make. So by now, you should have a classic fairy tale that you have chosen that you want to make some adaptations to. So looking at what's on my screen, it's super important that whatever changes you make to your fairy tale lead into more changes. Now, the main types of changes that you could make are to the character, to the setting, or to the problem, the motivation for that character. So, I want to show you a few examples before I send you off to try and make your own changes. So, in this example, you can see it says, in my story, there will be a mouse and a big bad cat. Because of this, they want their friends away from the cat. Because of this, they make a fort to hide. Because of this, the cat says he will hiss and swat your house down. And you can kind of read on. So, from what I see, I can tell that the classic fairy tale was the Three Little Pigs, and it looks like they changed the character. So, because they changed the character to a cat and a mouse instead of a pig and a wolf, because it's a cat instead of a wolf, in the original, the wolf says, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. But if we're talking about a cat, the cat's not going to huff and puff. The cat's going to hiss and use its tail to swat the house down. So that's one example of because they changed the character, they had to make other changes that fit the story as well. If we look at another one, so you can see how this person did the fairy tale of the Three Billy Goats Gruff, which is about three goats trying to cross a bridge and this and that. And so they change it to the Three House Cats. And if they're greedy, meaning they want more and more, all the money, all the things, they're never happy with what they have, it says they're going to go over a rainbow to get the pot of gold because they're greedy, they want all the gold, they want as many things as they can. And because of that, they'll have to deal with the feisty Bob the leprechaun. So in the original, the Three Billy Goats Gruff, there is, I think, a troll. I haven't looked at the fairy tale in a while, but there's something there that's stopping the Billy Goats from crossing the bridge. Now, in this case, because they've changed the bridge to the rainbow, and when I think about rainbows, I think about St. Patrick's Day and leprechauns and things like that. So that's why they changed the villain, the character, into a leprechaun. And then finally, another example with the setting. So this student chose to do the Billy Goats as well, but instead of changing the characters, they changed the setting. So they changed the setting to the city, and when you think about animals that live in the city, we don't typically see goats, so they changed the setting and the characters to dogs. So there's a lot of different changes that you can make, but I want you to focus on whatever types of changes you're making, what other things have to happen. Like an example for Prince Cinders, because they changed Cinderella, a princess, to Prince Cinders, who was a man, it didn't make sense for him to lose his glass slipper. That's why he ended up losing the trousers in the movie that we watched. So I want you to focus on what changes you're making and how that's going to lead into more changes so it makes sense.